Have you ever stopped to think about how our position in the food chain has shaped human history? From prehistoric times, when our ancestors hunted to survive, to the creation of vast food production networks today, the way we eat tells us a lot about who we are. But what if all of this changed? What if the foundation of our diet were completely reimagined? Get ready to discover how human eating habits impact the planet, cultures, and even the future of our species. Significant reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. Did you know that agriculture is responsible for nearly 15% of global greenhouse gas emissions? For many experts, the impact of this sector is so immense that few solutions can compete with it. A large part of this comes from an unlikely culprit: cows. These seemingly harmless, adorable animals produce large amounts of methane during digestion. While less talked about than carbon dioxide, methane is about 25 times more potent at trapping heat in the atmosphere. Now, imagine a world where all humans became vegans. Without the demand for meat and dairy, the mass farming of animals like cattle, pigs, and chickens would no longer be necessary. The methane produced by these activities would drop drastically. Beyond that, the deforestation of entire forests, cleared to make space for pastures and grain crops destined for animal feed, would also come to an end. These areas could be reforested, helping to capture carbon from the atmosphere and further reducing climate impacts. But the impact goes even further. Think about the transportation required to move billions of tons of meat and animal products around the world. Without these carbon-intensive processes, it would be like taking millions of cars off the roads. Moreover, the fertilizers used to grow animal feed, often derived from fossil fuels, would also become unnecessary. Here's a curious thought. What would a world without barbecue be like? For some, it might seem like a gastronomic apocalypse. But the truth is that incredible technologies already exist to recreate smoky flavors and meat-like textures, all made from plants. Plant-based burgers, which are already a reality, would continue to improve, making meals not just sustainable, but equally delicious. In summary, with global veganism, the planet would have a real chance to slow down global warming, leaving a greener legacy for future generations. And it would all start with a simple no to steak on your plate. Liberation of large areas of land for reforestation. Now, imagine a world map filled with vast green areas, dense forests, and vibrant ecosystems replacing massive pastures and monocultures. It sounds like a scene from a futuristic movie, but that's exactly what would happen if everyone adopted veganism. Today, nearly 80% of all agricultural land on the planet is used to raise animals or produce their feed. This includes vast pastures for cattle and soy fields that ironically feed more cows than people. If this space were freed up, we would have the chance to return these areas to nature. Forests could be replanted, bringing back plant and animal species that disappeared with the advance of agriculture. And we're not just talking about trees. With the restoration of ecosystems, rivers would be cleaned, soil would regain nutrients, and endangered species would have a new lease on life. Tropical forests, such as the Amazon, could expand again, absorbing carbon from the atmosphere and helping to balance the global climate. Furthermore, vegan agriculture takes up much less space than livestock farming. Studies show that the land, currently dedicated to animal production, could feed up to 4 times more people if used to grow grains, legumes, and vegetables directly for human consumption. In other words, in addition to saving the environment, we could fight global hunger much more efficiently. Here's a curious fact. The land used for pastures in Brazil alone is larger than the entire area of the European Union. Now, imagine the positive impact if these territories were returned to forests or used for more diverse and sustainable agriculture. If all this sounds utopian, it's because we've never seen anything on this scale before. But the benefits would be tangible, from revitalized biodiversity to creating a more balanced and resilient planet. After all, nature always finds a way to regenerate. It just needs us to step aside a little. Improvements in global public health. Imagine less crowded hospitals, fewer trips to the pharmacy, and people living longer and healthier lives. It may sound utopian, but this would be one of the effects of a world where everyone was vegan. A plant-based diet can bring significant health benefits, reducing the risk of several chronic diseases that currently affect millions. First, a vegan diet is naturally rich in fiber, vitamins, antioxidants, and healthy fats, while avoiding saturated fats and cholesterol found in animal-based foods. Studies show that vegans are less likely to develop cardiovascular diseases, type 2 diabetes, and certain types of cancer. Of course, the key is balance. A poorly planned vegan diet can be as harmful as any other. Additionally, giving up meat would drastically reduce the risk of zoonoses, those diseases transmitted from animals to humans, such as avian flu, swine, fever, and even pandemics like the one in 2020. In a vegan world, intensive animal farming, a fertile ground for these diseases, would no longer exist. This would mean fewer global outbreaks and, consequently, lower costs for healthcare systems. And let's agree, who wouldn't want to feel lighter, more energetic, and even lend a helping hand to the environment while taking care of their own health? Oh, and let's not forget medical costs. With a healthier population, public health expenses would decrease, allowing governments to invest more in education, infrastructure, or sustainable technologies. Finally, picture your dinner table. Instead of heavy, greasy dishes, imagine a menu full of vibrant colors, textures, and flavors. From plant-based burgers to delicious desserts made with natural ingredients, vegan eating is an explosion of culinary creativity. And as a bonus, you can impress your friends with dishes that are beautiful, tasty, and good for your health. Public health worldwide would thank you, and the impact would be seen on all levels: fewer diseases, greater longevity, and a much higher quality of life than we have today. Economic crisis in the livestock and fishing industries. Not everything would be smooth sailing in a world where everyone went vegan. The economic impact on the livestock and fishing industries would be enormous. Imagine thousands of farms, meat, and dairy industries, slaughterhouses, and fishing boats halting their activities all at once. The economies of many countries, especially those heavily reliant on meat and derivative exports, would face an unprecedented initial shock. However, history shows us that crises can also be opportunities for transformation. While these traditional industries would shrink, a promising market would emerge: plant-based alternatives and food technologies. Companies producing plant-based meats, vegan dairy, and lab-grown proteins are already growing exponentially. With a global shift to veganism, these sectors would become the new pillars of the food economy, and the impact wouldn't stop there. Rural areas that currently depend on livestock would need to reinvent themselves, but viable solutions exist. Cultivating diverse plant-based foods could generate more jobs and revitalize local economies. Additionally, government programs could be created to aid in the transition, offering training, incentives, and resources for farmers and fishers to adapt their activities. Now think about the oceans. With the end of commercial fishing, marine ecosystems would have a chance to regenerate. Endangered species could recover, and marine biodiversity, so essential for the planet's balance, would thrive once again. Of course, adaptation would be challenging. Many workers and businesses would face short-term difficulties. But in the long term, the world could emerge more sustainable, with economies rooted in innovation and respect for the environment. It's proof that even amidst chaos, there's room to create a more balanced and prosperous future. Cultural and gastronomic changes. Think of all the recipes that are part of humanity's history: the Sunday barbecue, grandma's traditional lasagna, or the sushi that conquered the world. Now imagine all these delicacies reinvented to adapt to a new lifestyle where animal-based ingredients no longer feature on the menu. Does it seem impossible? Rest assured, human culinary creativity can overcome any challenge. In a fully vegan world, global cuisine would undergo a revolution. Ingredients like tofu, chickpeas, mushrooms, and seaweed would take center stage, replacing meats, eggs, and dairy. Spices and herbs would become the stars, adding the flavors we love so much. And of course, food technology would play a crucial role. Have you ever imagined cheese that melts, gratins, and tastes just like the original but is made entirely from plants? Well, it already exists. The change would also impact how we perceive food. Celebrations that traditionally revolve around meat-based dishes like Christmas or Thanksgiving would take on new meaning. The feast could transform into a festival of colors, with creative and healthy dishes that respect both animals and the environment. But not everything would be easy. Cultural changes take time, and resistance would always arise. Many people might miss the flavors that marked their childhoods or feel disconnected from their family traditions. The good news is that vegan alternatives can bring the same sense of comfort and nostalgia. For example, vegetable-based roasts and broths have already won over palates around the world. On the other hand, vegan gastronomy would open doors to experiments never before possible. Amateur cooks and renowned chefs would have a vast field for innovation, blending cultures and ingredients in unique creations. Food would become not just a source of nutrition, but also an art form and a means of cultural expression. Thus, cultural and gastronomic changes could, instead of distancing us from our traditions, create new stories to share around the table, all with a positive impact on the planet and our health. What if all humans were vegan? The answer isn't simple, but the possibilities are fascinating. Reducing greenhouse gas emissions, restoring forests and ecosystems, advancing public health, restructuring economies, and a true cultural and gastronomic revolution. All these scenarios point toward a more sustainable, healthier, and innovative future. Of course, big changes are never easy. A vegan world would require adaptation, innovation, and above all, collective will. But the positive impact would be undeniable, transforming our relationship with food, the planet, and one another. What do you think of these conclusions? Do you agree, or do you think something was left out? Share your ideas in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more reflections like this. Oh, and make sure to watch the next video popping up on your screen. It's sure to surprise you.